I guess we're live. It's so exciting. All right. Welcome all to One Egg, No Batters, first unrehearsed reading. It's Jurassic Park time. We've been trying to do this show since January, and we finally did it. Go team! We're gonna real quickly go around and introduce ourselves, and then we're gonna start reading the show. So when I put you full screen, sorry, you're going full screen again, guys. You're gonna introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Skylar. I'll be playing Muldoon and Dr. Wu as well as the car voice.
Hi, I'm Andrew Caruso. I'm going to be playing John Hammond.
Hi, I'm Cate, and today I'm playing Donald, Gennaro, Kid, and Raptor.
Hi, I'm Olivia, and I'll be playing Dr. Alan Grant.
Hey, my name is Gabrielle Chalhoub, and I'm going to be reading the stage directions.
Hi, my name is Michael McNamara. I'll be reading for Dennis Nedry and also being a Raptor tonight.
Hi, I'm Jedonn Bell. I'm going to be reading for Ray Arnold, Mr. DNA, Man Harding, and the T-Rex.
Hi, I'm Mackenzie, and I'm going to read for Tim and Lewis Dodgson.
Hi, I'm Kellie. I'm going to be reading for Lex, Mate, and the Volunteer. Emma, you're muted.
I'm Emma Boles, and I'll be reading Dr. Ian Malcolm and Screaming as the Worker.
Awesome. And I'm Jess, and I'll be reading for Dr. Ellie Sattler.
All right, and without further ado, oof.
All right, here we go. Isla Nublar, 120 miles west of Costa Rica. It's quiet for a second. A roar rises from the jungle, deafening. The trees shake as something very, very large plows ahead through them, right at us. It's a bulldozer. It drops, it scoops and pushes forward into the back of the crate, shoving it across the jungle floor towards an impressive fenced structure. The bulldozer pushes forward into the back end. The crate thuds to the floor. A door slides open in the pen, making a space as big as the end of the crate. Nobody moves for a second. A grim-faced guy who seems to be in charge, Robert Muldoon, although we don't know it yet.
All right, push is moving. Loading team, move in.
The movement is agitated, whatever is inside the crate, and the whole thing shivers and as growls and snaps come from inside. Everyone moves back.
All right, steady. Get back in there. Now push. Get back in there. Don't let her know you're afraid.
The men go back to the crate and begin to push it into the slot. The crate thuds up against the opening. A green light on the side of the pen lights up, showing contact has been made.
Well locked, loading team. Step away. Joffrey, raise the gate.
A worker climbs to the top of the crate. The searchlights are trained on the door. The rifleman throws the bolts on their rifles and crack their stun guns, sending arcs of current crackling through the air. The worker gets ready to grab the gate when all at once, a roar from the inside the crate, and the panel flies out of his hands and smacks onto him, knocking him clear off the crate. Now everything happens at once. The worker thuds to the jungle floor. The crate jerks away from the mouth of the holding pen flash. An alarm buzzer sounds. And a claw slashes out from inside the crate. It sinks into the ankle of the worker, dragging him towards dark mouth between them. The worker screams and paws the dirt, leaving long claw marks as he rapidly is dragged toward the crate.
Tasers, get in there, goddammit!
They fire their guns. The wood of the crate splinters. Muldoon runs in and grabs the worker, trying to pull him free. The wild arcs of currents from the stun gun flash and crack all around, but in a second, the worker is gone. Cut to, an artist's camel hairbrush carefully sweeps away, sand and rock to slowly reveal a dark curve of a fossil, It's a claw. Pull up to reveal a group of diggers working on a large skeleton. All we see are the tops of their hats. The paleontologist working on the claw lays it on his hand.
4 complete skeletons. Such a small area. The same time horizon.
They died together?
The taphonomy sure looks that way.
If they died together, they lived together. Suggests some kind of social order.
Dr. Alan Grant, mid-30s, a ragged-looking guy with intense concentration you wouldn't want to get in the way of, carefully examines a claw. Dr. Ellie Sadler, working with him, leans in close and studies it too. She paints with exposed bone with rubber cement. Ellie in her late 20s, athletic-looking.
They hunted as a team. The dismembered Tentatosaurus bone over there, that's lunch. But what killed the raptors in a lake bed in a bunch like this? We better come up with something that makes sense.
A drought? The lake was shrinking.
That's good. That's right. They died around a dried up puddle without fighting each other. This is looking good.
Dr. Grant, Dr. Sadler, we're ready to try again.
I hate computers.
Grant, Ellie, and a volunteer walk down to the hill. Grant spots a kid kicking onto the dirt of the digs. He notices and frowns. He and Ellie arrive to where several volunteers are clustered around a computer terminal that is set up on a table in a small tent. It flaps, lashed open.
Ready to give it a shot, Jerry?
Thumper ready? Ready. Fire. The volunteer throws a switch on a machine that looks a bit like a floor buffer. The whole thing hops up in the air and it drives a soft lead pellet into the earth with tremendous force. There is a dull thud. The earth seems to vibrate, and all the eyes turn to the computer screen.
How long does this usually take?
It should be immediate return. You shoot the raider into the ground, the bone bounces back.
The screen suddenly comes alive, yellow contour lines tracing across in 3 ways, detailing a dinosaur skeleton.
This new program's incredible. A few more years of development and you don't have to dig anymore.
Grant looks at him, and his expression is positively wounded.
Well, where's the fun in that?
It looks a little distorted, but I don't think that's the computer.
Post-mortem contraction of the posterior neck ligaments. Velociraptor?
Yeah, good shape too. 5, 6 feet high. I'm guessing 9 feet long. Look at the...
He points to the part of the skeleton, but when his finger touches the screen of the computer, beeps at him and the image changes. He pulls his hand back as if it shocked him.
What do you do?
He touched it. Dr. Grant is not machine compatible.
I've got it in for me. Oh, look at the half-moon-shaped bone on the wrist. No wonder these guys learn to fly. No, seriously. A show of hands, how many of you have read my book? Great. Well, maybe dinosaurs have more in common with present-day birds than reptiles. Look at the pubic bone. It's turned backwards, just like a bird. The vertebrae full of hollows and air sacs, just like a bird. Even the word raptor means bird of prey.
That doesn't look very scary, more like a 6-foot turkey. Grant turns to the kid, lowers his sunglasses, and stares at him like he just came from another planet. Grant strolls over to the kid, puts his arm around his shoulders in a friendly way.
Try to imagine yourself in the Jurassic period.
Here we go.
You get your first look at the 6-foot turkey as you move into a clearing. Raptor, he knew you were there a long time ago. He moves like a bird, lightly bobbing his head, and you keep still because you think maybe his visual activity is based on movement like a T-Rex. And he'll lose you if you don't move. But no, not Velociraptor. You stare at him, and he just stares right back. That's when the attack comes. Not from the front, no. From the side. From the other two raptors you didn't even know were there. Velociraptor's a pack hunter, you see. He uses coordinated pack patterns, and he's out in force today. And he slashes at you with this. A 6-inch retractable claw, like a razor on the middle toe. They don't bother to bite the jugular like a lion. They just slash here. Here.
He points to the kid's chest and thigh.
Or maybe across the belly, spilling your intestines. Point is, you're alive when they start to eat you. Whole thing took about 4 seconds. So try to show a little respect.
With that, he walks back across the camp, returning to his skeleton. Ellie hurries to catch up with him.
If you really wanted to scare the kid, you could have just pulled a gun on him.
I know. Kids. You want to have one of those?
Well, not one of those. Well, yeah. Possibly one at some point could be a good thing. What's so wrong with kids?
Ellie, look, they're noisy, they're messy, they're sticky, they're expensive.
A strange wind seems to be whipping up. Gran and Ellie look around, confused. The wind is getting stronger, blowing dirt and sand everywhere, filling in everything they've dug out, blowing the protective canvases off. Now there's a more familiar roar, and they look up and see it. A huge helicopter descending on the camp.
Get some canvases and cover anything that's exposed.
Grant's already on it, trying to desperately protect the skeleton he's excavating. Cut to trailer day. The door to the trailer slaps open and Grant storms in.
What the hell do you think you're doing in here?
A man roots around the refrigerator, his back to us, grumbling about the contents, which are mostly beer. His hand falls across the bottle of expensive champagne on the back.
Aha!
He pulls it out. The cork pops. A man turns around, John Hammond, 70-ish, sprightly as hell, with bright, shining eyes that say, "Follow me." Grant stares at the man, holding his champagne bottle without an invitation.
Hey, we were saving that.
For today, I guarantee it.
And who in God's name do you think you are?
John Hammond, and I am delighted to finally meet you in person, Dr. Grant.
Grant is struck silent. He shakes his hand, staring dumbly.
Mr. Hammond?
Hammond looks around the trailer approvingly at the enormous amount of work the bones represent.
I can see my $50,000 a year has been well spent.
The door slaps open again and Ellie comes in, just as pissed off as Grant was.
Okay, who's the jerk?
This is our paleobotanist, Dr. Ellie.
Sattler.
Dr. Sattler. Ellie, this is Mr. Hammond. John Hammond.
Did I say jerk?
I'm sorry for the dramatic entrance, but I'm in a hurry. Will you have a wee bit of a drink now and then?
Hammond begins to walk into the kitchen, making himself at home. Ellie follows him, tries to help. Grant settles behind the table.
Come along. I know my way around a kitchen. Come along.
Ellie goes around towards Grant. She grabs a bottle of water. They look at each other, really aback by this guy's bravado and sight down. Hammond dries the glasses.
Well, now, I'll get right to the point. I like you. Both of you. I can tell instantly with people. It's a gift. I own an island off the coast of Costa Rica. I leased it from the government and spent the last 5 years setting up a kind of biological reserve down there. Really spectacular, spared no expense. It makes the one I had in Kenya look like a petting zoo. No doubt that sooner or later our attractions will send kids right out of their minds. Not just for kids, for everyone. We're going to open next year, unless the lawyers kill me first. I don't care for lawyers. You?
I don't really know any.
Well, I'm afraid I do. There's one, particular pebble in my shoe. He represents my investors. He says they insist on outside opinions.
What kind of opinions?
Not to put a fine point on it, your kind. Let's face it, in your particular field, you're the top minds. If I could just get the two of you to sign off on the park, give a wee testimonial, I could get back on schedule.
Why would they care what we think?
Oh, what kind of park is it?
Well, it's right up your alley. Look, why don't you both come on down for the weekend? Love to have the opinion of a paleobotanist as well.
No, I'm sorry. That wouldn't be possible. We've just discovered a new skeleton and...
I could compensate you by fully funding your dig.
This would be an awfully unusual
For a
time.
further 3 years?
Where's the plane?
Cut to Cafe Day. Dennis Nerdy is in his late 30s, a big guy with a constant smile that could either be laughing with you or at you. You can never tell. He sits at the table in front of a Central American cafe, eating breakfast. Nerdy looks up and sees a man get out of a taxi. Louis, Dodgson.
Dodgson!
You shouldn't use my name.
Dodgson! We got Dodgson here! See, nobody cares. Nice hat. Hey, what are you trying to look like, a secret agent?
Dodgson ignores that, sets his attaché case down next to the table, and slides it towards Nerdy.
$750. On delivery, 5,000 more for every valuable embryo. That's 1.5 million. If you get all 15 species off the island.
Oh, I'll get them all.
Remember, viable embryos. They're no use if they don't survive.
How am I supposed to transport them?
Dodgson pulls an ordinary can of shaving cream from a shoulder bag he carries and sets it on the table.
The bottom screw's open. It's cooled and compartmentalized inside. They can even check in if they want. Press the top.
Nerdy presses the top of the can and real shaving cream comes out. He grins impressed.
There's enough cool in there for 36 hours.
What, no menthol?
Mr. Nedry. The embryos have to be back here in San Jose by then.
That's up to your guy on the boat. 7 o'clock tomorrow night at the East Dock. Make sure you got it right.
I was wondering, how are you planning to beat the security?
Oh, I got an 18-minute window. 18 minutes and your company catches up on 10 years of research.
A waiter arrives and puts the check down on the table between them.
Don't get cheap on me, Dodgson.
Dodgson rolls his eyes and picks up the check.
That was Hammond's mistake.
Helicopter day. Grant, Ellie, Gennaro, and Malcolm are huddled in the back of a chopper. Hammond is in the front with the pilot. There are 2 other passengers as well. Donald Gennaro, the lawyer of the Amber Mine, now is dressed in safari clothes, everything straight from Banana Republic. The other, Dr. Ian Malcolm, 40-ish, dressed in all black with sneakers, boots, and sunglasses. Malcolm, who finds it hard to take his eyes off Ellie.
So you two dig up dinosaurs?
Try to.
We'll have to get used to Dr. Malcolm. He suffers from a deplorable excess of personality, especially for a mathematician.
Chaotician. Actually, chaotician. John doesn't subscribe to chaos, particularly what it has to say about his little science project.
Podswallop. Ian, you've never come close to examining these concerns of yours about this island.
I certainly have, very clearly, because of the behavior of the system in phase space.
A load, if I may say so, of fashionable number crunching. That's all it is.
Dr. Grant, Dr. Sattler, you've heard of chaos theory?
No.
Nonlinear equations? Strange attractions? Dr. Sattler, I refuse to believe that you are not familiar with the concept of attraction.
I bring scientists, you bring a rock star. There it is! Up ahead!
Up ahead, the others see it, Isla Nublar. It's a smallish island completely ringed by a thick cloud that gives it a lush, mysterious feel. Exterior helicopter landing pad day. The chopper finally lands. One of the workers opens the door and the group gets out. Hammond looks out.
Hammond looks out the windshield and claps his hand excitedly.
There it is.
Those full 50 miles of perimeter fence are in place?
And the concrete moats and the motion sensor tracking systems. Donald, dear boy, do try to relax and enjoy yourself.
Let's get something straight, John. This is not a weekend excursion. This is a serious investigation of the stability of the island. Your investors, whom I represent, are deeply concerned. 48 hours from now, if they aren't convinced, I'm not convinced. And I can shut you down, John.
48 hours from now, I'll be accepting your apologies. Now get out of the way, so I can see them. I wouldn't miss this for the world.
Ellie stares off to the right, fascinated by the thick tropical plant life around them. She tilts her head as if something was wrong with the picture. She reaches out and grabs a hold of a leafy branch as they drive by, tearing it from the tree. Hammond watches Grant, signals to the driver.
Just stop here. Stop here. Slow, slow.
He slows down, then stops. So does the front Jeep. Ellie stares at the leaf, amazed, running her hand lightly over it.
Alan.
But Grant, not paying attention, he's staring too, out the other side of the Jeep. Grant notices that several of the tree trunks are leafless, just as thick as the other trees, but gray and bare.
This shouldn't be here.
Grant twists in his seat as the Jeep stops and looks at one of the gray tree trunks. Riveted, he slowly stands up in his seat. He raises his head, looking up at the length of the trunk. He looks higher. That's no tree trunk. That's a leg. Grant's jaw drops. His head falls all the way back, and he looks even higher above the tree line.
This species of veriform has been extinct since the Cretaceous period. This thing.
Grant, never tearing his eye from the brontosaur, reaches over and grabs Ellie's head, turning it to face the animal. She sees it and drops the leaf.
Oh my God.
He gets out of the Jeep and Ellie follows. Grant points to the thing and manages to put together his first word since its appearance.
That's a dinosaur.
Ellie looks up at the dinosaur in wonder. They've pretty light on their feet, a far cry from the sluggish, lumbering brutes we would have expected. Hammond gets out of his Jeep, comes back to join them. He looks like a proud parent showing off the kid.
You did it. You crazy son of a bitch, you did it.
Several of the top branches are suddenly ripped away. Another sauropod reaching from the branch high above the head stands effortlessly on its hind legs.
That thing's got, what, 25, 27-foot neck?
Brachiosaur, 30. We clocked the T-Rex at 32 miles an hour.
You've got a T-Rex? He's got a T-Rex! A T-Rex! He said he's got a T-Rex!
Say again?
Yes, we have a T-Rex.
Grant feels faint. He sits down on the ground.
Honey, put your head between your legs and breathe.
Hammond walks in front of them and looks out.
Dr. Grant, my dear Dr. Sadler, welcome to Jurassic Park.
They turn and look at the view again. It's a beautiful vista, reminiscent of the African plain. A whole herd of dinosaurs crosses the plain, maybe 100 that we see in a quick glance alone.
Ellie, they're moving in herds. They do move in herds.
We were right.
How did you do it?
I'll show you.
We are gonna make a fortune with this place.
Visitor Center. Hammond leads Grant, Ellie, Gennaro, and Malcolm up the stairs, talking as he goes.
The most advanced amusement park in the world, combining all the latest technologies. I'm not talking rides, you know. Everybody has rides. We made a living biological attraction so astonishing they'll capture the imagination of the entire planet.
Grant stares up at the dinosaur skeletons and just shakes his head. Ellie catches his reaction.
So, what are you thinking?
We're out of a job.
Why don't you all sit down?
Grant, Ellie, and Malcolm take their seats in the front row. Gennaro sits behind them. Hammond walks over to the giant screen in front of them. Behind him, a huge image of himself beams down at him from the giant television screen.
Hello, John.
Hello. Oh, I've got lines.
He scans them, looking for his place. Then Screen Hammond continues without him.
Fine, I guess. But how did I get here?
Here, let me show you. First, I'll need a drop of blood. Your blood.
The Screen Hammond extends its finger, and the Stage Hammond reaches out and mimes poking it with a needle.
Ouch, John. That hurts.
Relax, John. It's all part of the miracle of cloning.
While the two Hammonds rattle on, the screen image splits into 2 Hammonds, then 4, then 8, and so on.
Cloning from what? Loy extraction has never recreated an intact DNA strand.
Not without massive sequence gaps.
Paleo DNA? From what source? Where do you get 100 million-year-old dinosaur blood?
In the film, the Screen Hammond is joined by another figure, this one animated. Mr. DNA is a cartoon character, a happy-go-lucky double helix strand of recombined DNA. Mr. DNA jumps down on the Screen Hammond's head and slides down on his nose.
Well, Mr. DNA, where'd you come from?
From your blood. Just one drop of your blood contains billions of strands of DNA, the building blocks of life. A DNA strand like me is a blueprint for building a living thing, and sometimes animals that went extinct millions of years ago, like dinosaurs, left their blueprints behind for us to find. We just had to know where to look.
The screen image changes from animated to a nature photography look. It's an extreme close-up of a mosquito. Its fangs suck deep into some animal flesh, its body pulsing and engorging with blood.
100 million years ago, there were mosquitoes. Just like today. And just like today, they fed on the blood of animals, even dinosaurs. Sometimes after biting a dinosaur, the mosquito would land on a branch of a tree and get stuck in the sap.
The engorged mosquito lands on the tree sap and gets stuck. So is Mr. DNA. He tugs on his leg, but they stay stuck.
Whoa!
Now the tree sap flows over them, covering up Mr. DNA and the mosquito completely. Mr. DNA shouts from the inside of the tree sap.
After a long time, the tree sap would get hard and become fossilized, just like a dinosaur bone, preserving the mosquito inside.
A science laboratory. The place buzzes with activity. Everywhere there are piles of amber tagged and labeled with scientists in white coats examining under microscopes.
This fossilized tree sap, which we call amber, waited millions of years with the mosquito inside until Jurassic Park scientists came along. Using sophisticated techniques, they extract the preserved blood from the mosquito and...
A long needle is inserted through the amber into the thorax of the mosquito and makes an extraction.
Bingo! Dino DNA!
Mr. DNA jumps down in front of the DNA data as it races at headache speed. He holds it to his head, dizzied by it.
A full DNA strand contains 3 billion genetic codes. If we looked at screens like these once a second for 8 hours a day, it'd take 2 years to look at an entire strand. It's that long. And since it's so old, it's full of holes. That's where our geneticists take over.
On the VR display, we see an actual DNA strand, except it has a big hole on the center where the vital information is missing. Mr. DNA bounds into the fire, carrying a bunch of letters in one hand.
To fill in the holes and complete the code. Woo!
He brushes his hands off, satisfied.
Now we can make a baby dinosaur.
In the audience.
All this has some dramatic music. Dum da da dum 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 dum. March or something. It's not written yet. The tour moves on.
He throws a switch and safety bars appear out of nowhere and drop over the seats, clicking into place.
For your own safety.
The row of seats move out of the auditorium. Hallway day. The row of seats moves slowly past the row of double-paned glass window beneath the large sign that reads, Genetics Fertilization Hatchery. Inside, technicians are working at microscopes. In the back is a section entirely lit by blue ultraviolet light.
Our fertilization department is where the dinosaur's DNA take the place of the DNA in unfertilized emu or ostrich eggs. And then it's on to the nursery, where we welcome the dinosaurs back into the world.
Gennaro has a wondrous grin plastered on his face, just loving everything now.
This is overwhelming, John. Are these people animatronics?
No, we don't have any animatronics here. These are the real miracle workers of Jurassic Park.
Grant, Ellie, and Malcolm are frustrated, leaning forward, straining against the safety bars for a better look.
Wait a minute. How do you interrupt the cellular mitosis?
Can't we see the unfertilized host eggs?
Shortly.
Our control room contains some of the most sophisticated automation ever attempted in.
Can't you stop these things?
Sorry, it's kind of a ride.
Let's get out of here.
The two of them team up on the safety bars. Grant shoves all the way back with one foot, and Malcolm does the same. They stand up and head for the door of the hatchery.
Hey, you can't do that. Can't they do that?
Hatchery nursery. The hatchery is a vast open room, bathed in infrared light. Long tables run the length of the place, all covered with eggs, their pale outlines obscured by hissing low mist that's all through the room.
Come on in.
Hammond takes off his hat and hands it to one of the technicians. Henry Wu, late 20s, wearing a white lab coat, works at a nearby table, making notes.
Good day, Henry.
Good day, sir.
Grant goes to a round open with various eggs under a strong light. One of the eggs makes strong movements. A robotic arm steadies the shell.
Oh my God, look!
Ah, perfect timing. I'd hoped they hatched before I had to go on the boat.
Henry, why didn't you tell me? You know I insist in being here when they're born.
Hammond puts a pair of plastic gloves. The egg begins to crack. The robotic arm moves away. A baby dinosaur tries to get out, just its head sticking outside of the shell.
Come on then, out you come. They imprint on the first living creature they come in contact with. That helps them to trust me. I've been present for the birth of every animal on this island. Oh, just look at that.
Surely not the ones that have bred in the wild.
Actually, they can't breed in the wild. Population control is one of our security precautions here. There is no unauthorized breeding in Jurassic Park.
How do you know they can't breed?
Because all the animals in Jurassic Park are females. I've engineered them that way.
There you are. Out you come.
Oh my God.
Can I have a tissue, please?
The animal is now free. Hammond sets it down carefully in a shell.
But again, how do you know that they're all female? Does someone go into the park and lift up the dinosaur's skirts?
We control their chromosomes. It's not that difficult. All vertebrate embryos are inherently female anyway. It takes an extra hormone at the right developmental stage to create a male, and we simply deny them that.
Your silence intrigues me.
John, the kind of control you're attempting is not possible. If there's one thing the history of evolution has taught us, it's that life will not be contained. Life breaks free. It expands to new territories. It crashes through barriers, painfully, maybe even dangerously, but well, there it is.
You're implying that a group of composed entirely of females will breed.
I'm simply saying that life finds a way.
You can't control anything. I agree with that. I like that. You can talk, I don't know how to say it. You're just articulate. You say everything that I think, that I feel. It's exciting.
That's right. We'll break through.
I get,
I know it's very exciting.
And scary.
And scary.
When people try to control things that it's out of their power.
It's anti-nature.
Anti-nature.
What species is this?
It's a velociraptor.
Grant and Ellie turn slowly and look at each other, then look at Hammond, astonished.
You bred raptors.
Raptor pen. Grant charges across the compound, a fire in his eyes, ahead of Ellie, Malcolm, and Gennaro. Hammond struggles to keep up.
Dr. Grant! Dr. Grant! We plan to show you the raptors later, after lunch.
But Grant has stopped abruptly next to the velociraptor pen, which we recognize as a heavily fortified cage we saw earlier, which the San Quentin towers at one end. Grant stands right up against the fence, eyes wide, dying for a glimpse. Hammond catches up, slightly out of breath.
As I was saying, we've laid out lunch for you before you head out into the park. Alejandro, our gourmet chef.
What are they doing?
As they watch, a giant crane lower something large down to in the middle of a jungle foliage inside the pen. Something very large. It's a cow.
Feeding them. Alejandro is preparing a delightful meal for us. A Chilean sea bass, I believe. Shall we?
Grant goes up to the viewing deck. The others follow, staring at the steer as the steer disappears into the shroud of the foliage. The line from the crane hangs for a moment. The jungle seems to grow very quiet. They all stare at the motionless crane line. It jerks suddenly, like a fishing pole, finally getting a nibble. There's a pause. And then a frenzy. The line jerks every which way. The jungle plants sway and snap from some frantic activity within. There, a cacophony of growling and snapping and wet crunches. And then it's quiet again.
Fascinating animals. Fascinating.
Oh my God.
Give time. They'll draw out the T-Rex. Guarantee it.
I want to see them. Can we get closer?
Alan, these aren't bones anymore.
We are still perfecting a viewing system. The raptors seem to be a bit resistant to introgation into a park setting.
They should all be destroyed.
They turn and look at a man who spoke. Robert Muldoon, the grim-faced man who was present at the accident in the beginning, is 40-ish, British.
Robert Muldoon, my game warden from Kenya. A bit of an alarmist, I'm afraid, but he's dealt with the raptors more than anyone.
Alan Grant, tell me, what kind of metabolism do they have? What's their growth rate?
They're lethal at 8, and I do lethal. They've hunted most things that can hunt you, but the way these things move...
Fast for bipedal?
Cheetah speed, 50, 60 miles per hour if they ever got out in the open. They're astonishing jumpers.
Yes, which is why we take extreme precaution. The viewing area below us will have 8-inch tempered glass set in reinforced steel frames to...
Do they show intelligence? With the brain cavity like theirs, we assumed...
They show extreme intelligence, even problem solving, especially the big one. We bred 8 originally, but when she came in, she took over the pride and killed all but the 2 of the others. That one, when she looks at you, and see she's thinking. She's the reason we have to feed them like this. She had them all attacking the fences when the feeders came.
The fences are electrified, right?
That's right, but they never attacked the same place twice. They were testing the fences for weakness systematically. They remembered.
Who's hungry? After you, my dear.
Visitor Center presentation room. Hammond, Grant, Ellie, Malcolm, and Gennaro eat lunch at a long table in the Visitor Center restaurant.
None of these attractions have been finished yet. The park will be open with the basic tour you're about to take, and then other rides will come online after 6 or 12 months. Absolutely spectacular design, spared no expense.
More slides click past, a series of graphs dealing with profits, attendance, and other fiscal projections. Donald Gennaro, who has become increasingly friendly with Hammond, even giddy, grins from ear to ear.
And we can charge whatever we want. 2,000 a day, 10,000 a day. People will pay it. And then there's the merchandise.
Arnold, this park was not built to cater only to the super rich. Everyone in the world's got a right to enjoy these animals.
Yeah, sure. They will. We'll have a coupon day or something. I've never been a rich man. I hear it's nice. Is it nice?
The lack of humility before nature that's being displayed here staggers me.
Thank you, Dr. Malcolm. But I think things are a little different than you and I feared.
Yes, I know. They're a lot worse.
Now, wait a second. We haven't even seen the park yet. Let's just hold out on concerns until...
All right, Donald. All right. But just let him talk. I want to hear all viewpoints. I truly do.
Don't you see the danger, John, inherent in what you're doing here? Genetic power is the most awesome force ever seen on this planet. You wield it like a kid who's found his dad's gun. If I may.
It is hardly appropriate to start hurling the generalizations before...
I'll tell you, the problem with scientific power you've used is you didn't require any discipline to attain it. You read what others had done and you took the next step. You didn't earn the knowledge yourself. So you don't take the responsibility for it. You stood on the shoulders of geniuses to accomplish something as fast as you could, and before you knew what you had, you patented, packaged it, slapped it on a plastic lunchbox, and now you want to sell it.
Don't give us our due credits. Our scientists have done things no one could ever do before.
Your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could do, they didn't stop and think if they should.
But this is nature. Why not give an extinct species a second chance? I mean, condors. Condors are on the verge of extinction. If I'd created a flock of them on the island, you wouldn't be saying any of this.
Hold on. This is no species that was obliterated by deforestation or the building of a dam. Dinosaurs had their shot. Nature selected them for extinction.
Understand this Luddite attitude, especially from a scientist. How could we stand in the light of discovery and not act?
There's nothing that great about discovery.
Please, let's hear something from the others. Dr. Grant? I am sorry. The Dr. Sadler.
The question is, how much can you know about an extinct ecosystem? And therefore, how could you assume you can control it? You have plants right here in this building, for example, that are poisonous. You picked them because they look pretty, but these are aggressive living things that have no idea what century they're living in and will defend themselves violently if necessary.
Dr. Grant, if there's one person who can appreciate all of this.
I feel elated and frightened, and the world has just changed so radically. We're all running to catch up. I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but look. Dinosaurs and man, two species separated by 65 million years of evolution, have just been suddenly thrown back into the mix together. How can we have the faintest idea of what to expect?
Don't believe it. I expected you to come down here and defend me from these characters, and the only one I've got on my side is the blood-sucking lawyer.
Thank you.
One of the waiters whispers to Hammond.
Ah, they're here.
Who?
Visitor center lobby. Hammond, Grant, Ellie, Malcolm, and Gennaro walk in front of the restaurant and into the lobby of the visitor center.
You four are going to have a little company out in the park. Spend a little time with our target audience. Maybe they'll help you get the spirit of this place.
What does he mean by target audience?
Hammond turns toward the door of the center and throws his arms out expansively.
Kids!
Two kids standing in the doorway of the center break into broad smiles. Tim, the boy, is about 9 years old, and Lex, his sister, looks around 12.
Grandpa!
Grandpa!
They race across the lobby into Hammond's arm, knocking him over the step.
We miss you.
Thanks for the present.
We love presents.
You must be careful with me. Did you like the helicopter?
It was great. It dropped, so you're dropping.
Two modified police explorers leap up of an underground garage beneath the visitor center. They pull to a stop where the group is gathered.
Have a heart, gentlemen. The parents are getting a divorce and they need the diversion.
Hey, where are the brakes?
Brakes? No brakes. They're electric cars guided by this track in the roadway and totally non-polluting, top of the line.
It's interactive CD-ROM. Look, see, you just touch the right place and it talks about whatever you want.
At no expense. Have fun. I'll be watching you from back in control.
I'm going to ride with Dr. Sattler.
He turns and walks over to Ellie. Grant frowns, not liking this one bit. He moves to follow, but Tim cuts him off and stares up at him wide-eyed.
I read your book.
Oh, yeah. Great.
Grant heads for the rear car. Tim follows.
You really think dinosaurs turn into birds? And that's all the dinosaurs want?
Grant opens the door of the rear car and climbs in. Tim follows.
Well, a few species may have evolved along those lines, yeah.
Tim is right behind Grant, so Grant keeps moving across the back seat of the car and out the other door, but Tim follows.
Because they don't look like birds to me. And I heard a meteor hit the Earth and made it look like this 100-mile crater someplace down in Mexico.
Listen,
Tim.
Which car were you planning on?
Sorry. Oh, whichever one you are.
Grant goes to the front car again, opens the rear door, and holds it for Tim, who climbs in the back seat, rattling on and on.
Then I heard about this thing in Omni, about this meteor making all this heat that made a bunch of diamond dust and that changed the weather, and they died because of the weather. Then my teacher told me about this other book by this guy named Baker, and he said the dinosaurs died of a bunch of diseases.
Slam. Grant closes the door on Tim. He turns and heads for the rear vehicle and bumps right into Lex.
She said I should ride with you because it would be good for you.
Grant looks over at Ellie, annoyed. Cut to control room. The Jurassic Park control room looks like a mission control for a space launch, with several computer terminals and dozens of video screens that display images of various dinosaurs taken from all over the park. Holden whisks into the double doors. Hammond is right behind him. They go straight on to the main console where Ray Arnold, 40-ish, a chronic worrier and chain smoker is seated.
National Weather Service is tracking a tropical storm about 75 miles west of us.
Why didn't I build in Orlando?
I'll keep an eye on it. Maybe it'll swing south like the last one.
Ray, start the tour program.
Onto your butts.
With a loud chunk, the explorers start forward along the electrical pathway. Gennaro, Tim, and Lex are in the front vehicle, Grant, Ellie, and Malcolm in the rear. They pass through two enormous primitive gates, torches blazing on either side. In the rear car, the explorers' speakers blare with fanfare of trumpets, and the interior video screen flashes, "Welcome to Jurassic Park." A familiar voice comes over the speaker.
Welcome to Jurassic Park. You are now entering the lost world of the prehistoric past. A world of creatures long gone from the face of the earth, which you are privileged to see for the first time. To the right, you will see a herd of the first dinosaurs on our tour, called Dilophosaurus.
In the front car, Tim and Lex practically slam up against the window to get a look.
Shh. I can't see.
Exactly. Are we looking for?
Dilophosaurus.
Oh shit.
Dilophosaurus! Grant, Malcolm, and Ellie press against the window. Down near the riverbank, there are a lot of beautiful plants, but no sign of a herd of anything. The tour voice continues anyway.
One of the earliest carnivores, we now know Dilophosaurus is actually poisonous, spitting its venom at its prey, causing blindness and eventually paralysis, allowing the carnivore to eat at its leisure. This makes Dilophosaurus a beautiful but deadly addition to Jurassic Park.
Horny, scary music plays over the speaker.
There's nothing there.
Grant and the others sit back, disappointed.
Damn.
On the road, the cars move on. As they roll past, we notice headlights are on, even in the daytime. Ray Arnold watches his computer screen and the video monitors at the same time, keeping an eye on the cars as they move through the park. Hammond hovers over his shoulder.
Vehicle headlights are on and don't respond. Those shouldn't be running off car batteries.
He signs and reaches for his clipboard, hanging next to his chair, and jots this down.
Item 151 on Day's glitch list. We've got all the problems of a major theme park and a major zoo. And the computer's not even on its feet yet.
Hammond shakes his head and turns to the technician to his right.
Dennis, our lives are in your hands and you have butterfingers.
Technician turns around his chair and extends his arm in a Christ-like pose as we get a good look at him. We get the sinking feeling that we've seen him somewhere before. And we have. Dennis Nerdy is the man who accepted a suitcase full of cash in San Jose.
I am totally unappreciated in my time. We can run the whole park from this room with minimal staff for up to 3 days. Do you think that kind of automation is easy? Or cheap? You know anybody who can network 8 connection machines and debug 2 million lines of code for what I did for this job? Because I'd sure as hell like to see them try.
I'm sorry about your financial problems. I really am. But they are your problems.
You're right, John. You're absolutely right. Everything's my problem.
Will not get drawn into another financial conversation with you, Dennis. I really will not.
I don't think there's been any debate. There's no debate. My mistakes.
I don't blame people for their mistakes, but I do ask that they pay for them.
Thanks, Dad.
Dennis, the headlights.
I'll debug the tour program when they get back, okay? I'll need a lot of the computer cycles. Parts of the system may go down for a while. Don't blame me if I'm playing losing memory.
Muldoon, who has been hovering near the video monitors as always, turns toward them, annoyed.
Quiet, all of you. We're coming to the Tyrannosaur paddock.
Cut to the two explorers drive along the high ridge and stop at the edge of a large open plain that is separated from the road by a 15-foot fence, clearly marked with danger signs and ominous-looking electrical posts. Tim, Lex, and Gennaro are pressed forward against the window, eyes wide, waiting for you-know-who in the rear car. The voice of the radio drones on, but Grant, Ellie, and Malcolm aren't even listening anymore, dying of anticipation.
The mighty Tyrannosaurus was late in the dinosaur history. Dinosaurs ruled the Earth for 150 million years, but it wasn't until the last...
Will you turn that thing off?
Ellie flips a switch, and they wait in silence, except for Malcolm, who looks at the ceiling, thinking aloud.
God creates dinosaur. God destroys dinosaurs. God creates man. Man destroys God, and man creates dinosaurs.
Dinosaur eats man. Woman inherits the earth.
In the paddock, there is a low humming sound. Out in the middle of a field, a small cage rises up into view, lifted in hydraulics from underground. The cage bars slide down, leaving the cage occupant standing alone in the middle of the field. It's a goat, one leg chained to a stake. It looks around, confused, and bleats plaintively. In the front car, Lex and Tim look at the goat with widely different reactions.
What's going to happen to the goat? He's going to eat the goat? Excellent.
Hey, what's the matter, kid? You never had lamb chops?
I
happen to be a vegetarian.
In the rear,
T-Rex doesn't want to be fed. He wants to hunt. You can't just suppress 65 million years of gut instinct.
in the paddock, the goat waits and waits. From the explorers, 6 faces watch it unexpectedly. The goat tugs on its chain. It walks back and forth, nervous. It bleats. Grant watches, his eyes glued, his breathing becoming a little more rapid. Tim and Lexi can't tear their eyes away. Finally, the goat lays down. Everyone sits back, disappointed again, as the car pulls forward to continue the tour.
Now, eventually, you do plan to have dinosaurs on your tour, right? Right?
I really hate that man.
Grant gets into the back seat, leaving Malcolm behind Ellie. He longingly looks out of the opposite window while Malcolm rattles on.
You see, Tyrannosaurus doesn't obey set patterns of park schedules. It's the essence of chaos.
I'm still not clear on chaos.
It simply deals with the unpredictability in complex systems. Its only principle is the butterfly effect. A butterfly can flap its wings and perking. In Central Park, you get rain instead of sunshine. I made a flyby. I go too fast.
Looking out of the opposite window, Grant sees movement at the far end of the field. He sits bolt upright, trying to get a better look.
Here, give me your glass of water. I'll take it myself. Now watch the way the drop of water falls in your hand. Ready? Freeze your hands. Now I'm going to do the same thing in the exact same place. Which way is the drop going to roll off?
The same way.
It changed. Why? Because there is the principle of tiny variations, the orientation of the hairs.
Alan, listen to this.
On your hand, the amount of blood descending in your vessels, imperfections in the skin.
Oh, imperfections?
Microscopic, of course. Never repeat and vastly affect the outcome. That's that.
Unpredictability.
And even if we haven't seen it yet, I'm quite sure it's going on in this park right now.
There's definitely something out in that field, and Grant has to see it. He jerks on the door handle and opens his door a few inches. He looks outside towards freedom, then looks around to is anybody watching him.
Life's a lot like that, isn't it? You meet someone by chance you'll never meet again, and the course of your whole future changes. It's dynamic. It's exciting, I think.
Grant throws the door open and bolts out of the moving car.
There, Steve. I'm right again.
Alan,
no one would have predicted Dr. Grant would suddenly jump out of a moving vehicle.
Alan!
She jumps out too and follows him into the field.
There's another example. See, here I am now, by myself, talking to myself. That's chaos theory. What the hell am I doing here? I'm the only one who knows what's going on.
The control room. Hammond, Muldoon, and Arnold stare at the video monitor incredulously as everyone now pouts out of the car and follows Grant down the hill. The car rolls on slowly, empty, their doors hanging open.
Mr. Hammond?
Stop the program! Stop the program!
There you are. How many times did I tell you we needed locking mechanisms on the vehicle doors?
Across the room, Dennis Nerdy sneaks a peek at the video monitor. It shows an image of a steel door plainly marked Embryonic Cold Storage Restricted. He looks to another monitor which is labeled East Dock. The monitor shows a supply ship moored at the dock. Its cargo is being uploaded and a large group of workers is filled abroad. Nerdy has something in the counter where no one can see it. It's a can of shaving cream. Cut to Grant, Ellie, Gennaro, and the kids are out on the open field, herding towards a small stand of trees. Tim dogs Grant's footsteps, so excited he can hardly keep his feet on the ground.
So, like I was saying, there's this other book by a guy named Baker, and he's the dinosaurs died of a bunch of diseases. He definitely didn't say to turn into birds, though.
Gennaro is scared as hell, following the others, but his head darting left and right.
Ellen, where are we going? You see something?
Anybody else think we shouldn't be out here?
And his book was a lot better than yours.
Really?
Yours was fully illustrated, honey.
Anybody at all? Feel free to speak up.
Suddenly, they all stop in their tracks. A huge smile spreads across the faces of both Tim and Grant. Grant walks forward. Tim follows.
Timmy.
Come back here, blanket head.
Fearless, Tim walks forward behind Grant.
Hi, everybody. Don't be scared.
Tim reaches the clearing and sees a triceratops, a big one, lying on its side, blocking the light at the end of the path. Grant stands next to Harding, almost in a daze.
Beautiful. Is it okay? Can I touch it?
Sure.
Grant walks next to the animal and strokes its head. Ellie moves forward to the animal.
Ellie, it's so beautiful. It's the most beautiful thing I ever saw.
It's my favorite.
Both kneel, checking the animal. He furrows his brow, noticing something. All professional curiosity now. The animal's tongue, dark purple, droops limply from its mouth.
Kellie, take a look at this.
Yeah. Baby girl, it's okay.
He scratches the tongue with her fingernail. A clear liquid leaks from the broken blisters.
Microvesicles. That's interesting. What are her symptoms?
Imbalance, disorientation, labored breathing. Seems to happen about every 6 weeks or so.
6 weeks.
She takes the pent light from the veterinarian and shines it on the animal's eyes.
Are there pupillary effects from the tranquilizers?
Yes, mitotic. Pupils should be constricted.
These are dilated. Take a look.
They are? I'll be damned.
That's pharmacological, from local plant life.
He turns and studies the surroundings landscape, her mind really at work, puzzling over each piece of foliage.
Is this West Indian lilac?
Yes, we know they're toxic, but the animals don't eat them.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure?
Well, there's only one way to be positive. I need to see some droppings.
Can't miss them.
Dino droppings?
Yeah.
Ellie, Grant, Harding, and Malcolm are grouped around the enormous spore of Triceratops, etc., that stands at least waist high and is covered with buzzing flies.
That is one big pile of shit.
Ellie has her plastic gloves on to reach up to the elbows, and she is just withdrawing her hand from the middle of the dung.
You're right. There's no trace of lilac berries. That's so weird, though. She shows all the classic signs of toxicity. Every 6 weeks.
She turns and walks out into the open field a few paces, thinking. Malcolm watches her and looks back at the dung.
She's tenacious.
You have no idea.
You will remember to wash your hands before you eat anything.
The skies are really forebodying now, and there's a sense of growing urgency. Ellie is by the animal a short distance away from the group.
Ellie, I've been thinking there's something about the periodicity that doesn't add up.
I know.
Triceratops was a constant browser, and constant browsers would be constantly sick.
Constantly sick?
Not just every 6 weeks.
Yeah, I know.
Thunder rumbles as the storm overhead is about to bust loose. Gennaro, scared of more than one thing now, puts his foot down.
Doctors, if you please, I have to insist we get moving.
If it's all right, I'd like to stay with Dr. Harding and finish the trike. Is that okay?
Sure. I've got a gas-powered Jeep. I can drop her at the visitor center before I make the boat with the others.
I'll catch up with you. You can go with the others.
Are you sure?
I'll just finish. Yeah, I want to finish.
There is a lightning flash now with a tooth-rattling thunderclap right on its heels.
Now.
Grant turns and follows the others. Lex right on his tracks. Ellie and Harding go back to the Triceratops, which is starting to come back to life. Back at the cars, as the reflection of the group approaches, the first raindrops fall on the windshield of the tour vehicles. They're big, fat drops, and they kick up little clouds of dust as they smack into the glass. It's going to be a hell of a storm. Cut to the control room. Hammond is with Ray Arnold, staring at the video screens.
I found a way to reroute through the program. I'm turning the cars around in the rest area loop.
Run, look, this storm. Get my grandchildren on the radio, will you? I don't want them to worry about a little bit of Wayne.
Across the room, Dennis Nerdy's sweat forming on his upper lip now is staring at his video monitor. The supply boat is still docked on the island shore, but is now being buffeted away by heavy waves. Nerdy whispers sharply onto the phone, arguing with the maid of the ship, who he can see on the radio monitor.
There's nothing I can do. If this captain says we gotta go, we gotta go.
No, listen to me. You've got to give me this time. I did a test run on this thing and it took me 20 minutes. I thought I could do it in 15. You've got to give me 15 minutes.
No promises.
I'll be there in 10.
Visitor vehicles are on their way back to the garage.
So how much for our first tour? 2 no-shows and one sick Triceratops.
It could have been worse, John. It could have been a lot worse.
Dennis Nerdy stands up. He's shaking in his shoes, but trying like hell to be casual.
Anybody want a Coke? Anybody want some from the machines? Or a soda or something? I had too many sweets.
Hammond and Arnold shake their heads. Nerdy starts to leave, then turns back with the afterthought that is so rehearsed it's almost obvious.
Oh, I finished debugging the phones, but the system's compiling for 18 minutes or 20. So some minor systems may go on and off for a while. There's nothing to worry about. Simple thing.
Okay, that's enough.
Nerdy turns, stretches one finger out to his screen, and selects an option. Execute. At the same time, he presses the start button on his digital stopwatch he holds in his hand. A digital clock on the computer screen starts to tick down from 60 seconds. In the rear car, Grant and Malcolm are alone. Grant is staring out the window, lost in his thoughts.
You got any kids?
Me? Oh, hell yeah. 3. I love them. Love kids. Anything at all can and does happen.
He takes a flask from the jacket pocket and unscrews the top. His expression darkens.
Same with wives, for that matter.
You're married.
Occasionally. Always on the lookout for a future ex-Mrs. Malcolm.
Cut to the fertilization lab. Dennis Nerdy waits outside the silver door marked embryonic cold storage, staring at the digital stopwatch in his hand.
2, 1.
On cue, a security lock panel goes dark and the door clunks ajar. In the cooler, Nerdy hurries and flips open the hatch on the bottom of the shaving cream can, revealing slotted compartments inside. He goes to the rack of dozens of thin glass slides, a sign that says viable embryos, handle with extreme care. He takes the slides out of the rack one by one. They're labeled Stegosaurus, Apatosaurus, Tyrannosaurus Rex, and puts them into the can. The control room. Arnold is staring at his terminal, puzzled. On the screen, glowing red, blue lines are blinking off in succession.
What?
What?
The door security systems are shutting down.
Well, Nedry said a few systems would go offline, didn't he?
Rear car. Grant and Malcolm wait in their car. They don't notice, but the video screen in the middle of the front console suddenly goes black.
By the way, Dr. Sadler, she's not, available, is she?
Why?
Why? Oh, I'm sorry. Are you two, I wish you the best of luck.
The car jerks to a stop. The lights in the vehicle and along the road go out, plugging them into the blackness. Grant jerks his hand away from the steering column, immediately assuming it is his fault.
What did I touch?
We stopped.
I must have touched something. This happens all the time. Must be my fault. Machines hate me.
Machines hate you?
Yeah, they hate me.
Do you want to talk about this?
No.
Jurassic Park. Nerdy's Jeep splashes up to the giant gates that lead into the Jurassic Park. Nerdy jumps out and hurries to the control panel on the side of the cement supports. He flicks a switch and gates click unlocked. He jumps back into the car and noses onto the gates, shoving them open far enough to drive through. He roars into the park grounds. Control room. Ray Arnold stares in his terminal, aghast, as row upon row of colored lights crawl into his screen.
Whoa, what the hell? What the hell?
What now?
Fences are falling all over the park. A few minor systems, he said.
Find Nedry. Check the vending machines.
The monitors are failing.
Muldoon heads for the door just as the video monitors in the control room go out with a faint electric zip. The three of them freeze for a moment, looking at each other. The tension in the room goes up a notch.
Use Nedry's terminal. Get it all back on. He can debug later.
Arnold pushes off the floor and whizzes over to Nerdy's master terminal in his chair. With one stroke of his arm, he brushes all the loose junk off of Nerdy's station. Junk food, soda cans, torn out magazine pages.
God, look at this workstation.
The Raptor fences aren't out, are they?
No, they're still on.
Why the hell would he turn the others off?
Park Road, a wire mesh fence in front of us has a very clear sign. Danger, electrified fence. This door cannot be opened when fence is armed. A hatch reaches out, grabs the fence with a bare wire, flips a latch, and shoves the door open. No sparks fly. Dennis Nerdy runs from the fence back to his Jeep, drops in it a gear, and tears off down the park road. The rain is absolutely flowing down now. The road is rapidly turning into mud. In the Jeep, Nerdy can barely see through the windshield. He's driving as fast as possible, checking his watch every few seconds. He leans forward, squinting to see through the windshield, wiping off the condensation with his free hand. A fork in the road rushes into view. He jumps on the brakes. Too late. The Jeep careens into the signpost.
Shit!
He throws the door open and hurries to the fallen sign, to the docks. He props it up. The directional arrow signs hopelessly on a nail. He clenches his jaw and growls. Soaked, Nerdy stomps back to his car. Although he doesn't look too convinced, he drops the car in gear and speeds off to the left. Hammond still hovers over Arnold's shoulder while he works at Nerdy's terminal. Arnold mutters to himself as he tries another command.
Access main program grid.
He punches a button, but a buzzer sounds and a little cartoon image of Nerdy appears on the screen and waves its little finger disapprovingly.
You didn't say the magic word.
Oh, please, god damn it, I hate this hacker crap.
Call Nedry's people in Cambridge.
Arnold whisks across the floor in his chair and snatches up the nearest phone. He punches for an outside line.
Oh, phones are out too.
Where did the vehicle stop?
Cut to Tyrannosaurus paddock. The goat that was brought up from the underground earlier is still tethered to the same place, bleeding in the pouring rain. The two explorers sit still in the middle of the road. A man's form races back from the front car to the rear car. In the rear car, Grant, soaking wet, gets back into the car and closes the door behind him. Malcolm turns to him.
Their radio's out too. Gennaro said to stay put.
The kids okay?
Well, I didn't ask. Why wouldn't they be okay?
Kids get scared.
What's to be scared about? It's just a little hiccup in the power.
And say I was scared.
I didn't say you were scared.
I know.
Fine.
Malcolm turns and looks onto the driving rain and the fence that stands between them and the Tyrannosaurus paddock. He is scared. Geronimo, Lex, and Tim wait, bored. The rain drums on the roof. Tim climbs onto the back seat. Lex hits him with his hat and he moves by her. Tim finds something under the seat and sits up abruptly, holding what looks like a heavy-duty pair of safety goggles.
Hey, where did you find those things?
In a box under my seat.
Are they heavy?
Yeah.
Then they're expensive. Put them back.
He leans back and closes his eyes. Tim ignores him and puts on the goggles. Tim stares out the back window of the Explorer with Grant and Malcolm in it. Behind them, the image is bright fluorescent green.
Oh, cool. Night vision.
Tim continues to stare out the back window with the goggles. He swings his legs, but suddenly stops. He feels something. He pulls off his goggles and turns back. He moves on to the back seat with Lex, who is tapping her hat, and reaches forward to still her hand. Boom, boom, boom.
Did you feel that?
She doesn't answer. Tim leans over to the front passenger seat and looks at the two plastic cups of water that sit on the recessed holes on the dashboard. As he watches, the water in the glass vibrates, making concentric circles. Then it stops. And then it vibrates again, rhythmically, like from footsteps. Boom, boom, boom,
is that? Maybe it's just the power trying to come back on.
Tim jumps into the back seat and puts the goggles on again.
What is that?
What is what?
Tim turns and looks out the side window. He can see the area where the goat is tethered, or was tethered. The chain is still there, but the goat is gone. Bang! They all jump, and Lex screams as something hits the plexiglass sunroof of the Explorer hard, and they look up. It's a bloody, disembodied goat leg.
Oh, Jesus!
Tim whips around and looks out the side window again. His mouth pops open, but no sound comes out. Through the goggles, he sees an animal claw, a huge one, gripping the cables of an electrified fence. Tim whips out the goggles off and presses forward against the window. He looks up, then cranes his neck back further to look out the sunroof. Past the goat's leg, he can see Tyrannosaurus Rex. It stands maybe 25 feet high, 40 feet long from nose to tail, with an enormous box-like head that must be 5 feet long by itself. The remains of the goat hang out of the Rex's mouth. Gennaro can't even speak. His hand claws from the door handle. He shoulders it open and takes off out of the car.
He left us! He left us alone! Dr. Grant! He left us!
Gennaro runs away as fast as he can, right past the second car towards a cement block outhouse 20 or 30 yards away. He reaches it, ducks inside, and pulls the door after him. But there's no latch, just a round hole in the unfinished door. Gennaro backs into a stall, frantic. The whole bathroom begins to shake.
Where does he think he's going?
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
Malcolm looks the other way, out the passenger window. As he watches, the fence begins to buckle, its posts collapsing onto themselves, the wires snagging free.
What was that all about?
Grant now turns and watches as ahead of them, the danger sign smacks down on the hood of the first Explorer. The entire fence is coming down, the posts collapsing, the cables snapping as the T-Rex chews its way through the barrier. They watch in horror as the T-Rex steps over the ruined barrier and into the middle of the park road.
Boy, do I hate being right all the time.
Look at that.
The T-Rex turns and strides quickly back towards them. It circles slowly, bending over to look in at them through the window. Grant and Malcolm sit trembling in the front seat, watching as the giant legs stride past their window.
Keep absolutely still. Its vision's based on movement.
You're sure?
Relatively.
Malcolm freezes as the Rex bends down and pierces right in through his window. The dinosaur's giant yellow eye is only slightly smaller than the entire pane of glass. The T-Rex pulls away slightly, then reaches down and bumps the car with its snout, rocking it. The front car lights up from within as Lex switches on the flashlight. The dinosaur raises its head. It turns slowly from the second car to the first car, drawn by the light. Making a decision, it strides over to the first vehicle, fast. Tim and Lex can only stare out the window as the T-Rex reaches their car and starts to circle it. The Rex bends down and looks in through the front windshield, then the side window. Tim is eye to eye with the thing for a second, and then the dinosaur raises its head up above the car.
I'm sorry.
Turn it off! Turn it off! Where's the button?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
Why did you do this?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
The kids look up through the sunroof as the head goes higher and higher and higher, and then the Rex turns, looks straight down at them through the roof, opens its mouth, and roars. The windows rattle. Lex screams. The flashlight goes on and on again, and the Tyrannosaurus strikes. Smash! The thing's head, its plastic sunroof, knocking the whole frame right out of the roof of the car and down onto the vehicle. The bubble falls down onto Tim and Lex, trapping them, and the animal lunges down through the hole, snapping at them. The plexiglass holds, though, and protects Tim and Lex, even as if it pins them to the seat. The T-Rex recounts and pushes down on the glass, groans, cracked lines racing across it. Tim, whose feet were caught above, pushes back, only an inch of glass between him and the dinosaur's teeth. Grant and Malcolm watch in horror as the dinosaur claws the side of the vehicle with one of its powerful thigh legs. It pushes, starting to tip the car over.
Oh my god!
We gotta do something.
What can we do?
There's gotta be something.
Grant looks around, climbs over the seat. He tears apart the back area, searching, and finally finds a metal case. He opens it, finding flares. He grabs one and moves quickly back to the driver's seat and opens the door. Grant gets out of his car. He's holding the flare in one hand, which pulls the top off. Bright flames shoot out from the end of it.
Hey, over here!
The T-Rex turns and looks at him. Grant waves the flare slowly in front of him from side to side. The T-Rex follows his moving arm, eyes locked on the flare. Grant looks over the wall and tosses the flare over the edge of the barrier. The Rex lunges after it. Unclear with Grant's plan, Malcolm leaps out of the car and he begins to wave it to the animal. Grant sees him.
Ian, freeze! Freeze! Get rid of the flare!
Get the kids!
Malcolm inches back slowly, then takes off, running for his life down the road. He runs to the cement block outhouse Gennaro went into earlier. The T-Rex sees the movement. It whirls and takes off after Malcolm fast. Malcolm runs as fast as he can, approaching the outside just steps ahead of the T-Rex, but not far enough ahead. Without even slowing down, the Rex leans forward and flicks Malcolm onto the air with its snout. It's just a nudge for the Rex, but it sends Malcolm sailing right through the wooden portion of the wall and into the building. Gennaro, who covers in a corner, screams as the head of the T-Rex explodes through the front of the building, sending chunks of cement flying in all directions inside. The roof collapses. Gennaro tries to protect himself from the falling chunk. Grant gets on his feet and watches as the T-Rex noses around the rubble. It seems to find something. It lunges, and Grant can hear Gennaro screaming, the sound piercing, until it abruptly stops. Grant scrambles over the car.
Tim? Lex?
Dr. Grant! Dr. Grant!
Are you okay? Can you move? Tim, are you okay?
I'm stuck. The seat got my feet.
Tim, I'll come back for you. I'll get Lex out first.
Grant reaches in and drags her out.
Are you okay?
Grant tries to find Tim.
Tim? Tim!
Lex, staring over his shoulder, screams. Grant whirls, covering her mouth at the same time.
Shh! Don't move. They can't see us if we don't move.
Lex looks at him. He's crazy, but he freezes. They wait. Boom! A big T-Rex footprint smacks down in front of them, and the dinosaur approaches the car again. Not finding anything, the dinosaur swings its head away, snorting loudly through its nose. Grant's hat flies off his head. Still, he doesn't move. The Rex walks to the back of the car. It bends down. Whap! The car spins as it pushed from behind the T-Rex. Grant and Lex are pushed in front of it, helpless. They scramble around on their knees, trying to keep ahead of the car, which the Rex is now pushing even closer to the edge of the barrier. Grant and Lex crawl quickly, but the car is moving faster, catching up with them. The Rex bends down to see Tim. Tim backs away furiously, but there's almost no room for him to move in there. The Rex opens its mouth wide and stretches its tongue into the car. Tim screams and kicks as the tongue tries to wrap around him, but it fails and withdraws the car. The T-Rex tries to get Grant and Lex, pushing the car, spinning on spinning on its roof. Grant and Lex scramble, trying to avoid being caught by the T-Rex and crushed by the car.
This way.
The back of the car has almost crushed them against the barrier.
Get back.
They move, and as the Rex continues to move the car toward the edge, Grant finally gets on the wall. Lex follows. The T-Rex roars in frustration. It bends down one final lunge at the car. Grant sees it coming. He grabs one of the dangling fence cables on the other side of the barrier.
Grab a hold of me.
He wraps his arm around his neck. He scrambles to the edge of the barrier and he starts to climb down.
You're choking me.
The car groans nearly over the edge. Grant looks at the side. There are other cables out of the line and cars impending drop. His feet scrambling along the concrete wall. Grant tries to swing over toward one.
Grab a wire.
I got it!
The car falls. Lex and Grant are clear by inches, clinging to the second cable. The car crunches into the leafy top of a tree, resting its roof some 15 feet below them. The T-Rex stares down at them, but they are safely out of its reach. It roars once more in final fit of frustration. Turns to the control room. Turns. Control room. John Hammond is livid.
I will kill Nedry. I will kill him.
Muldoon burst out toward the door.
Well?
There's no sign of him anywhere.
The game show music is louder and faster now. Very annoying.
Leigh, will you please switch that off?
Ray Arnold's cigarette is practically burning his lips down to almost nothing in his mouth. He hovers over Nedry's computer terminal, which is a mass of incomprehensible commands that scroll so quickly as his putatively examines each one of them.
Are we getting anywhere with these procedures of yours? I mean, what's hanging us up?
I ran a key check on every stroke Nedry entered today. It's all pretty standard stuff until this one.
What one?
He points to the computer screen to a specific series of commands. The others crowd over at his shoulder and stare at the screen.
Key check /space -0, key check off safety -0. He's turning the safety systems off. He doesn't want anybody to see what he's about to do. Now look at this next entry. It's the kicker. What.robot.object. Whatever it did it all. But with key check off, the computer didn't file the keystrokes. Only way to find them now is to search the computer's lines of code one by one.
How many lines of code are there?
About 2 million.
2 million. Great.
Robert, I wonder if perhaps you would be kind to take a gas chief and bring back my grandchildren.
Sure.
I'm going with him.
John.
Newman leans on his cane, and for the first time, he looks like he's actually using it.
John.
Newman turns, finally hearing him.
I can't get Jurassic Park back online without Dennis Nedry.
Cut to Park Road. As the rain continues to pour down, a gas-powered Jeep roars down another park road. Dennis Nedry drives the Jeep as fast as he can in the treacherous conditions. He mutters to himself, shaking his head.
Should have been there by now, should have been there.
He hauls it around the corner and looks down, checking his watch. When he looks back up, his eyes go wide. There's a white wood guard-rail fence right in front of him. He stands on his brakes as hard as he can. The Jeep fishtails, skidding out of control in the mud toward the fence. Nedry hauls the wheel hard to the side to try and control the skid. But this Jeep skids off the road, going halfway over the muddied embankment.
God damn it!
He drops the car in reverse and hits the gas. The wheels spin, sending mud flying everywhere. But the Jeep goes nowhere. Nedry can't believe it. Frustrated, he gets out of the Jeep. He stops suddenly. You can see another park road down the sloping embankment, about 20 feet below. There's a large sign alongside the road. Nedry leans forward excitedly and gets a better look. It reads, "To East Dock."
No problem. Just winch this sucker off the thing, tie it to do a thing, pull it down the thing, and pull it back up. Done.
He loses his balance and slips, falling back on the rear. He slides down the muddy embankment across the road below. Pissed, he gets on his knees and searches for his glasses.
Where are my glasses? I can afford new ones.
He stands and grabs the winch and goes to sturdy-looking trees on the other side.
You can make it.
From the distance, there's a soft hooting sound. There's some movement in the bushes. Nedry looks around for the source and the sound and movement. He doesn't find it. He nervously checks his watch and goes back to the winch, but faster.
Okay, no problem. Just pop this thing right down.
The hooting comes again, and Nedry turns. Again, nothing. The figure ducks around the trees and pops out of the other side, hooting playfully. Nedry looks around on the one side of the tree. Nothing. It pops up on the other side, hooting again, and Nedry looks again. Nothing.
That's nice. Gotta go. I'm getting out of here. Come on, you can make it. Come on.
He secures the winch and starts across the road, back up the embankment. He freezes and he feels something behind him. He turns around slowly and sees. A Dilophosaur stands only about 4 feet high. Doesn't look very dangerous. In fact, it's kind of cute.
Oh, nice boy. Nice boy. Okay, run along. I don't have anything for you. Go on. Go home. It's dinner time. You hungry? Well, they'll feed you. Go, boy. Girl. Whatever.
Dilophosaur just stares at Nedry, tilting his head curiously. Nedry looks around on the ground and finds a stick. He picks it up and chucks it at the thing. He throws it as far as he can.
You want nice juicy stick? Fetch.
The Dilophosaur gets onto the spirit of the game, but not the object.
Lame brain? What's the matter with you?
He shakes his head and starts back toward the Jeep, muttering to himself.
Walnut brain, extinct kangaroo. Hope I run over you on the way down.
He's near the top when the Dilophosaur suddenly hops right in front of him, startling him. Nedry loses his balance and falls back right on his rear. He gets on his feet angry.
I said!
He picks up a stick and chucks it at the thing.
Beat it!
The animal hisses. The brightly colored fan around its neck flares wildly. The bulbous sacs on either side of its neck inflate, rears its head back again, and it spits. Splat! A big glob of something wet smacks onto the middle of Nedry's chest. He reaches down and touches the goo that's dribbling down his flicker.
It's disgusting!
Pow! This time the loogie hits Nedry right smack in the face. He screams and rubs it away frantically. Because it hurts like hell. Nedry falls back, clawing at the eyes in excruciating pain. He pulls his hand away, starting to hyperventilate. He flails in his arms in front of him, blinking a mile a minute, but blinded. He staggers forward to try and get to the Jeep. He gets to the door open, but smacks his head on the door frame and collapses. The can of shaving cream flies onto Nedry's jacket pocket and tumbles into the runoff water down the muddy hillside. Nedry gets to his feet again and staggers in the general direction of the Jeep. He reaches the open door and feels it in his way. He slams the door. There's another hoop from inside the Jeep. Nedry turns and screams. The Dilophosaur is right there in the passenger seat. It hisses louder than before. Its crest fans angrily, vibrating, reaching a crescendo, and the thing pounces, slamming Nedry back against the driver's window, shattering it. Rain and mud wash over the shaving cream, burying. Cut to the rain that is all stopped by now. Grant and Lex are at the bottom of the large barrier leading up to the park road. Poor Lex is scared as hell. She stands behind Grant, ramrod straight, her breath coming short, desperate gasp. Her eyes are wide, and she doesn't look like she can move. As Grant gets rid of the blood, his injury doesn't look so bad, just a gash on his forehead. He turns and looks up to the tree the explorer fell in. It's stuck there, nose down in the thickest top branches. Lex's gasps are getting louder. She's terrified.
Hey, come on, don't, just stop. Lex, you gotta be quiet. Please, stop it. Shh. Because if we make too much noise, he's gonna hear us and come back.
They hear a crackling sound. Grant looks up at the tree again. The explorer has fallen a few feet lower in the branches. Grant looks down at Lex, who is sitting on a rock.
I'm right here, Lex. I'm gonna look after you. I'm gonna help your brother. I want you to stay here and wait for me, okay?
He left us.
That's not what I'm gonna do. Good.
Grant walks to the tree. Lex scampers into the culvert. Grant takes a deep breath, grabs hold of his first branch, and starts his long climb. The car's in a rough shape. It's much thinner than it used to be. The nose completely smashed in. The front wheels driven solidly into the thick branch. That they are what holds it in place.
Tim!
Grant comes up to the car and looks in. Tim is huddled on the floor of the passenger side, frightened, hugging his knees to his chest. He looks up at Grant with tear and blood-streaked face. His voice is barely audible.
I threw up.
That's okay. Listen, give me your hand. I won't tell anybody you threw up. Just give me your hand, okay?
Tim and Grant grab hands. Grant holds him, getting his arm secured around his waist. They climb down. They stop on a branch.
Okay. That's not so bad, huh, Tim?
Yes, it is.
It's just like coming out of a treehouse. Did your dad ever build you a treehouse, Tim?
No.
Me too. Okay. Well, the main thing about climbing is never look down. Never.
This is impossible. How am I going to go down? I can't make it. It's about 50 feet.
The car groans forward on the branch, which sags in their direction. They look up. The car begins to shift dramatically toward them.
Oh no. Go, Tim, go!
They climb down as fast as they can, and the big branch that is supporting the car creaks, ready to give way any second.
Faster!
The branch breaks and the car falls straight at them. Grant and Tim let go of the branch they're on, and they fall thudding onto another branch a few feet down, and the car stops, slamming into the thick branch just above him. Grant looks up, eyeball to eyeball with the front grille. The new branch starts to creak. Grant and Tim basically fall down the rest of the tree, the car bashing its way right behind them. They jump the last 6 or 7 feet and hit the ground hard. Grant grabs Tim and rolls with him to the side, just as the car smashes onto the earth, nose first, standing upright that way. They look up in relief.
Okay. Lex, you're gonna have to get out of there. Hiding isn't a rational solution. We have to improve our situation.
He doesn't move. Grant looks at Tim.
Tim's out here. He's okay. Well, we can't go back the way we came. What we have is a free-range T-Rex on the road. There's fences on either side. If we meet him between here and the lodge, we'd have problems. But what this means is that this whole paddock is empty. It's safe.
It's safe.
It's safe.
It's safe.
And that's the way we're going to go. What do you say?
All right.
Good girl.
Tim and Lex nod, and he starts off in the direction he indicated. They trail behind him. Cut to, Muldoon and Ellie race down the park road in an open-top Jeep like it's that one Nedry took earlier. Neither of them speak. They just stare ahead grimly, wondering what they're about to find.
There they are.
Oh, God. Where's the other car?
She runs to the Explorer. Muldoon follows, looking around. At the Explorer, Ellie leans and looks around. Nobody's there. She and Muldoon walk towards the wreckage of the outhouse, calling out.
I think it's ahead of us.
It could be anywhere. With the fence out, it could go in and out of any paddock it likes.
They hear a moaning sound from somewhere in the wreckage of the restroom building. They rush over to it. Ian Malcolm lies on his back, semi-conscious among the twisted wood and cement.
It's Malcolm.
He shines his light along the length of Malcolm's body. His shirt is soaked with blood, but his right leg is even worse off. Malcolm's belt has been twisted around his thigh.
He's put a tourniquet on. Ian.
Oh, remind me to thank John for a lovely weekend.
The T-Rex roars again, but closer now. Ellie and Muldoon look at each other.
Can we chance moving him?
Please, chance it.
Muldoon lays Malcolm as carefully as possible in the back of the Jeep.
Where are the kids?
Ellie looks around.
Lex? Tim?
Dr. Sattler, I've seen a lot of animal attacks. People just disappear. No blood, no trace. That's the way it happens.
No.
She walks to the edge of the road, her eyes following the deep ruts the Explorer made when it went over the edge. Muldoon gets ready to leave.
Ellie, come on.
The other car.
Ellie and Muldoon's flashlight beams spray light by the base of the tree.
Dr. Grant?
Alan?
They find the wrecked Explorer. Muldoon peers inside, looking for anything.
Do you see anything?
I don't know.
The T-Rex roars again, closer still. Ellie nervously goes to the other side of the car and looks in.
Alan!
They're not here.
Malcolm, laid out in the back of the Jeep, feels something strange. He looks down at the top of the T-Rex footprints in the road. It's filled with water. The water in the puddle vibrates rhythmically.
Anybody hear that?
Ellie is still looking around. Her flashlight falls on the 3 sets of footprints in the mud.
Look!
With her flashlight, she follows the trail of footprints made. They lead into the jungle and disappear. Malcolm's staring wide-eyed at the rings in the water, which are getting bigger now.
It's an impact tremor. It's what it is. I'm fairly alarmed here. I gotta move. Gotta get out of here. Let's go. We gotta go. We gotta get out of here right now.
They stop talking. The booming is louder now, faster, much faster. They look back over their shoulders.
Oh.
Ellie and Muldoon get into the Jeep. Muldoon's in the driver's seat.
Move. Now. Let's go. Let's go. Right now. Right now.
The Tyrannosaurus smashes out the jungle foliage, bursts onto the road, and runs straight into them, moving at least 30 miles an hour. Muldoon fumbles for the keys, turns the Jeep over, and slams into gear. He drops the clutch, hits the gas, and tears ass out there. But the Jeep is slow to work through the first few gears. Terrified, Ellie dares to look down at the side view mirror, which tells her objects are closer than they appear. And they sure are. The T-Rex is still gaining on them the slowly accelerating Jeep. All three of them stare back at the Rex in terror.
Must go faster. And it's getting closer. Must go faster.
Faster. Shit. Faster.
Must go faster. Go, 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 go.
Down!
They all duck. The windshield hits the branch and shatters as a Jeep flies ahead, really picking up speed now. The T-Rex runs right through the branch, smashing it entirely.
Faster.
But Muldoon slams it back into the gear and guns it. The T-Rex gives up, fading into the distance. They drive in silence for a few minutes, all scared out of their wits.
Think they'll have that on the tour?
Cut to Grant, Lex, and Tim making their way through Jurassic Park. Far in the distance, there's another roar. Grant hears it and tries not to show it.
Hear that?
No, I didn't hear anything.
They keep walking, but now Grant is looking around for a safe place to hide. He looks up, the towering trees around them.
You both look pretty tired. I think we ought to have some place to rest.
He hears another roar.
Like about now. Come on, hurry up. Like this tree.
Lex, Tim, and Grant climb. Grant is behind them, watching the other two, giving them a push when they need it.
Trees don't bother me, Tim.
Yeah, you were in the last one.
Now, near the top of the tree, the three of them sit there, dangling their legs, looking over the park. It's an incredible view. They can see in all directions. And with the full moon, there's a lot of detail. Most shrieking of all are the dozen sauropod heads at the end of the long necks that tower over the park.
Hey, those are brontosauruses. I mean, those are brachiosauruses.
It's okay to call them brontosaurs, Tim. It's a great name. It's a romantic name. It means thunder lizard.
Thunder lizard.
Grant fields of a solid web of branch and settles himself in it, leaning back against the trunk of the tree with a little room on either side of him. Lex nestles up to him on the branch. Grant is surprised, but accepts it. Tim climbs off to the side to a nook in the branch of his own. Silent of a moment, the three can hear the hoots of the animals as they call.
Listen to that. They're singing. Of course, no one's ever heard one from a dinosaur before, but I could swear that sounds suspiciously to me like a mating call.
He smiles, enchanted. He hoots himself, trying to imitate one of the other calls. Immediately, 5 or 6 of them heads turn in their direction and hoot back.
No, stop. Don't let the monsters come over here.
They're not monsters, Lex. They're just animals, and these are herbivores.
That means they only eat vegetables, but for you, I think they make an exception.
What are you going to do now if you don't have to dig off a dinosaur's bones anymore?
I guess we'll just have to evolve too.
What do you call a blind dinosaur?
I don't know. What do you call a blind dinosaur?
Do you think he saw us? What do you call a blind dinosaur's dog?
You got me.
Do you think he saw us wreck?
Great laughs. Both kids finally close their eyes, but after a moment, Lex pops hers open again.
What if the dinosaurs come back while we're all asleep?
I'll stay awake.
All night?
All night.
Grant lets the claw fall to the ground. Cut to Ellie comes to the darkened restaurant, following the source of the flickering light. John Hammond sits on the table alone. There is a bucket of ice cream in the middle, and he's eating a dish of it. Staring down more. Ellie draws up to the table, and Hammond looks at her. His eyes are puffy. His hair is messed up. For the first time we've seen him, his fire is gone from his eyes.
They were all melting.
Malcolm's okay for now. I gave him a shot of morphine.
They'll all be fine. Who better to get the children through Jurassic Park than a dinosaur expert? You know the first attraction I ever built when I came down south from Scotland? It was a flea circus, Petticoat Lane. Really quite wonderful. We had a wee trapeze and a roundabout, a merry-go, what do you call it?
Carousel?
A carousel. And a seesaw. They all moved, motorized, of course, but people would swear they could see the fleas. I see the fleas, Mommy. Oh, can't you see the fleas? Clown fleas, high wire fleas, fleas on parade. But with this place, I wanted to give them something real, something that wasn't an illusion. Something they could see and touch, an aim devoid of merit.
John, you're still building onto that flea circus, that illusion. And now you're adding to it by what you're doing here. That's the illusion.
Once we have control again, we...
Control? You never had control. I was overwhelmed by the power of this place. So I made a mistake too. I didn't have enough respect for that power, and it's out now. You're sitting here trying to pick up the pieces. John, there's nothing worth picking up. The only thing that matters now are the people we love. Alan, Lex, and Tim. And John, they're out there where people are dying. People are dying, you know. It's good.
No expense.
Cut to the sun comes up over Jurassic Park. The danger of the night before it overcome the sheer beauty of the place. The heavy shadow falls over all three of them, blocking out the sun entirely. The Brachiosaurus' head pushes up right into the tree branches, right up beside them. The kids awaken with a start.
Go away!
It's okay, it's okay. It's a brachiosaur.
Vegisaurus, Lex, Vegisaurus.
Tim scampers up, trying to get the Brontosaurus's attention.
Come here, boy.
Grant moves forward and tries to feed the Bronchiosaur. The animal gets to the end of the branch and starts a tug-of-war with Grant.
Come on, try some. Take a bite.
It's good protein. Come on, Lex. Why don't you just touch it? Look at his nose.
This is a 77-ton animal. Come on over, Lex. Just think of it as a big cow. Look at its teeth. Come here, girl. This is a 77-ton animal. Big cow.
I like cows.
You're a beautiful big animal.
His nose is running. It looks like he has a cold.
Come on, girl. Up here.
God bless you.
Oh. Oh.
Oh, great. Now she'll never try anything new. She'll just sit in the room and never come out and play with her computer.
I'm a hacker.
That's what I said. You're a nerd. They don't call you people hackers anymore. They just call you people nerds.
They stare in amazement at the whole clutch of dinosaur eggs, all hatched now empty. A large one, nearly half an egg.
You know what this is? It's a dinosaur egg. The dinosaurs are breeding.
But my grandpa said all the dinosaurs were girls.
Amphibian DNA.
What's that?
Well, on the tour, the film said that they used frog DNA to fill in the gene sequence gaps. They mutated the dinosaur's genetic code and blended it with that of frogs. Now, some West African frogs have been known to spontaneously change sex from male to female in a single-sex environment. Malcolm was right. Look, life found a way.
Cut to Malcolm, his wounds bandaged, but in real pain, hangs around with Ellie and Muldoon, hoping for some development while Ray Arnold is still at the computer terminal and looking a mess. He doggedly snorts through the computer system's lines of codes, one by one by one. The blip by reflected in his glasses. He turns and stares up at Hammond with a look of absolute incredibility on his face.
No, that's crazy. You're out of your mind. He's absolutely out of his mind.
What exactly does this mean?
We're talking, my dear, about a calculated risk, which is the only option left to us. We will never find the command Nedry used. He covered his tracks far too well, and I think it's obvious he's not coming back. So shutting down the system...
I will not do it. You'll have to get somebody else, because I will not.
Shutting down the system is the only way to guarantee wiping out everything he did. If I understand correctly, all the system will come back on their original startup rules, correct?
Theoretically, yeah. But we've never shut down the whole system. It may not come back at all.
But will we get the phones back?
Yeah, again, in theory. But...
What's that?
Absolutely out of the question.
The lysine contingency... It's intended to prevent the spread of the animals in case they ever got off the island. But we could use it now. Dr. Wu inserted a gene that makes a single faulty enzyme in protein metabolism. Animals can't manufacture the amino acid lysine unless they're continually supplied with lysine by us. So they'll go into a coma and die.
How would we cut off the lysine?
A trick to it. Just stop running the program, leaving them unattended.
How soon before they become comatose?
It would be totally painless. They just slip into unconsciousness and they die.
How long before they slip into unconsciousness?
About 7 days, more or less.
7 days? 7 days? Oh, great. Good. Clever.
It'd be the first. Man and dinosaur all die together. John's plan.
People are dying. Please shut down the system.
You asked for it.
His hand hovers over and he flips the lever.
And you got it.
Every monitor, every terminal, every fluorescent light shuts out, plunging them into near darkness. They just sit there in stillness for a moment.
How long will this take?
About 30 seconds.
They wait in the tense silence. He notices Malcolm staring at him, his eyes full of disapproval.
I think perhaps I'll just sit down. I don't suppose you think all that much of me, do you?
You're all right, John. You're okay. It's just you don't have intelligence. You have think-telligence. You think narrowly and call it being focused. You don't see the consequences. You're very good at solving problems and getting answers, but You just don't know the right questions.
Ian.
Yes?
Shut up.
Yeah. It's not a criticism, by the way.
Hold on to your butts.
It's not working.
Listen, which of you knows how to handle a gun?
It's okay. It's okay. Look, you see that? You see that?
Arnold looks at them, his face triumphant.
It's on. It worked.
That will teach you to trust Grandpa.
Wait a minute. What do you mean it worked? Everything is still off.
The shutdown must have tripped the circuit breakers. All we have to do is turn them back on, reboot a few systems in here, the phone, security doors, half a dozen others, but it worked! The system ready?
Where are the breakers?
Out in the maintenance shed, other side of the compound. I'll go out there. 3 minutes and I can have the power back on in the entire park.
To be safe, I'd like to have everybody in the emergency bunker until Mr. Arnold returns and the whole system is back on its feet again.
Cut to the park grounds. Grant consults the map.
The visitor center should be just about a mile beyond that rise. We keep. What is that? Can you tell me what they are?
Galamus. And
The animal cry are much louder, accompanied by a low rumble.
And they're walking this way.
Stampede. Look at the wheeling, the uniform direction change, like a flock of birds evading a predator. Oh shit.
I want to go now.
Watch how it eats.
Please.
I shall never look at birds the same way again.
Let's go.
Okay. Keep low. Follow me.
Ellie paces impatiently.
Something happened. Something went wrong.
Malcolm lays on the table while Hammond tries to tend to his wounds.
This is just a delay. That's all this is. All major theme parks have had delays. When they opened Disneyland in 1956, nothing worked. Nothing.
John.
But John, if Pirates of the Caribbean breaks down, the pirates don't eat the tourists.
I can't wait anymore. Something went wrong. I'm going to go get the power back on.
Can't just stroll down the road, you know.
Bob, let's not be too hasty. He's only been gone.
I'm going with you.
Okay.
Holden clings open a steel cabinet. He shovels a shell into the barrel of the rocket launcher, who accepts it with a faint electric sizzle.
Sorry, this isn't like switching on the kitchen light, but I think I can follow this and talk you through it.
Ellie gets a couple of walkie-talkies from the shelf and shoves them into her belt.
Okay.
Oh, but you know, I really should be the one going.
Why?
Well, because I'm a...
Look, we'll discuss sexism and survival situations when I get back. You just take me through the step-by-step. I'm on channel 2.
Cut to Grant, Tim, and Lexi scrambling through the jungle. Completely out of breath, exhausted, they arrive at the base of the big electrical fence that surrounds the main compound. Grant looks up at the fence. It must be over 20 feet high.
It's a bit of a climb. You guys think you can make it?
Nope.
Way
He pokes
too
the
high.
wire with his, he pokes the wire with his stick. No sparks fly.
Well, I guess that means the power's off.
Still not trusting the fence, he taps it with his foot. He moves slowly and lays both hands on the cable and closes his fingers around it. Grant's body shakes.
That's not funny.
That was great.
The T-Rex roars. Cut to Ellie and Muldoon step out of the bunker. Muldoon has a big gun on his hands.
Okay, I'm on channel 2.
Stick to my heels.
They start down the path, moving quickly. Muldoon and Ellie emerge from one path into a slightly more open area. Muldoon slows down, Ellie right next to him. They notice a hole in the fence that surrounds the raptor.
Oh my god. Oh god.
Shutdown must have turned off all the fences. God damn it, even Nedry knew better than to mess with this raptor fence.
I can see the shed from here. We can make it if we run.
No, we can't.
Why not?
Because we're being hunted from the bushes straight ahead. All right.
Like hell it is.
Run towards the shed. I've got her. Go!
Ellie starts to run, startled, runs and falls over a log. Muldoon walks slowly onto the bushes. On the path, Ellie runs as fast as she possibly can. She nears a maintenance shed and doesn't look back. She reaches the door, blasts through, and slams it behind her. Cut to Malcolm and Hammond hovering over the complex diagram of the maintenance shed that's spread out from in front of him. Hammond clutches the radio to his hand, almost praying to it. Finally, it crackles.
I'm in. You're lying.
I'm in.
Great. Good. Okay. Ahead of you should be a metal stairway. Go down it. Right. After 20 or 30 feet, you'll come to a T-junction. Take a left.
John, just have her follow the main cable.
I understand how to read a schematic.
Going down the stairs. Okay. Damn it. Dead end.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. There was a right back there somewhere.
Ellie, look above you. There should be a large bundle of cable and pipes all heading in the same direction. Follow that.
Piping. Okay, following the piping. It goes back up the stairs and across the stairs. Following the stairs.
Look for a metal grate, and that it's to its closest location.
Okay, I'm on the grating.
Good. Keep going now. The cable will terminate in a big gray box.
Okay, I'm following the tubing. I'm going down a passageway. How long does this stuff go for? Okay, I see the gray box. It says high voltage.
Now, Ellie, you can't just throw the main switch by hand. You have to pump up the primer handle to give you a charge. It's a large, flat gray.
It's charged. Okay.
Right. Now, under the words contact position, there's a round green button that says push to close. Push it. Now, Ellie, the red buttons turn on the individual park systems. Switch them on.
As Ellie punches the buttons, they light up, and her eyes go to the near end of the row. It's marked perimeter fence. Cut to Grant, Lexi, and Tim. Grant lets go, dropping the last few feet on the ground. Lex does the same. A warning light begins to flash, coming back to life. Grant's eyes go wide. He looks at Tim, who is still far up near the top. In fact, he has come to a complete stop. Tim, terrified, has frozen where he is.
Tim, you have to let go.
Timmy, the power's coming down. Quick!
I can't. I'm scared.
Tim, you're gonna have to let go. I'm gonna count to 3.
Jump, Timmy. It's too late.
I'm afraid I'm gonna fall.
Go, jump!
You're crazy. I'm not gonna jump.
Tim, you're gonna have to let go of the fence. Tim, get down right now. Get off the fence now.
Do what she says. The power's coming back, Timmy.
Timmy, let go. You're gonna have to let go. Count to 3. I'll catch you.
Timmy, do as he says. Timmy, do as Dr. Grant says. Quick.
Are you crazy? What have you missed?
Tim, I'm right here. Easy catch. Count to 3.
You're gonna get electrocuted. The power's coming back.
Shut up. You're scaring me. Stop. You're scaring me.
It's an easy catch. You let go. You do the counting. You count it, Tim. 1, 2, 3. You do all the counting, okay?
Timmy, listen to Dr. Grant.
I'm coming up there, Tim. I'm coming to get you. Lex, I've got to go get him.
The fence hums as it awakens. Grant and Lex are screaming at Tim.
Okay. I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3.
With a loud, low, frightening buzz, the fences come alive. Pow! Tim is cut off mid-sentence and literally thrown from the fence. He slams into Grant. They fall on the ground. Lex runs over to them.
Tim, you okay? You okay? He's not breathing. Tim!
Cut. Ellie watches as the banks of the fluorescent lights in the maintenance shed come on, one by one. The lights are going on in rows. She's coming closer to her. Finally, her row comes on. She follows the light and sees a raptor there behind the control panel. It slashes, taking and lunging sweep at Ellie, but it gets stuck. Its feet less tangled in the maze of pipes on the floor. Ellie shouts and falls back into the pipes on the other side of the aisle. The raptor untangles itself from the pipes and gives a chase. Just as Ellie slams the mesh door closed, the raptor bangs against the mesh door. Ellie falls to the ground. She holds on by kicking the door shut, and the raptor continues to push himself through the door. Ellie is able to get the door closed. A dead arm falls on her shoulder. Ray Arnold is there, or what's left of him, stuck in the tangle of the pipes. Ellie moves away, and his arm falls to the ground. She doesn't realize she has moved right back near the mesh wall, and the raptor comes at her again. Ellie takes off running as fast as she can, back the way she came. She continues to run, her headset dangling, the flashlight dragging behind her in its cord. She reaches the top, throws open the door, hurls herself outside just as the raptor's head snarls from the near top of the stairs. She runs out the fence and collapses. Cut to Tim is still unmoving. Grant is performing CPR, alternatively compressing Timmy's chest 15 times quickly and breathing into his mouth twice. Lex is freaking out.
Oh, come on, Tim. Get up. Oh, good boy, Tim. Good boy.
Cut to Robert Muldoon creeps slowly through the jungle foliage, tracking his prey. He ducks and walks through the hollow log. He can see a trace of the raptor's gray flesh as it moves behind the bushes up ahead, staying camouflaged enough to deny him a decent shot. Thinking he's got a moment, Muldoon extends the back handle of the gun and it clicks into place. He prepares to take aim. Instead of running away again, the raptor rises slowly out of the bush, fully revealing itself to Muldoon, hissing at him. The corners of Muldoon's mouth twitch up into a smile. He draws a bead onto the animal. His fingers tense on the trigger. Suddenly, his smile vanishes. Both eyes pop open. A terrible thought sweeps across his face. His eyes flick to the side.
Clever girl.
Which is where the attack comes from. With a roar, another raptor comes flashing out of nowhere and pounces on him. The gun blasts wildly, and the raptor claw slashes through Muldoon's midsection. Cut to Grant, Tim, and Lex. Come into the the deserted visitor center. A large sign that says, when dinosaurs ruled the earth, drops overhead. Grant now carries Tim, who was weakened but conscious.
Hello?
Grant carefully sets Tim in the chair at one of the tables, Lex across from him.
I'm gonna have to find the others and get you to a doctor. Will you look after Tim, Lex?
Yes.
Your hair's all standing up. Big Tim, the human piece of toast. Be back soon. I promise.
He leaves. Tim looks up and sees the expression on her face. She's staring over her shoulder, eyes wide, the jello quivering in her shaking hands.
What?
Tim turns around. Behind him, one of the silhouettes of the mural is a raptor in a hunting pose. While they stare, the silhouette of a real raptor moves out from behind it and creeps forward in the lobby of the visitor center. The kids run to the kitchen. Lex pulls a shiny metal door shut as quietly as she can and latches with a distinctive click, but there's no lock. She runs to the panel of light switches and kills them all, plunging the room into semi-darkness. She helps Tim down the aisle and they hide at the end. The raptor's head pops into view, visible through the round window in the middle of the restaurant door. It just looks for a moment, its breathing steaming out the window. As the steam evaporates, the raptor can see part of Tim that's not entirely hidden by the counter. Tim and Lex remain frozen in fear as the raptor sniffs at the bottom of the door and thumps its head against it. But the door doesn't budge. Cut to Grant walking quickly down the narrow path towards Hammond's compound, eyes darting from side to side. He's exactly sure where he's going, as far off he hears something shouting to him. He furrows his brow and walks towards her. She shouts louder. He walks faster. He's closer now, and he can finally make out where she's shouting.
Run!
Grant takes off running toward her, not even looking back. He races up, and she runs into his arms. Cut to John Hammond standing between Grant and Ellie in the bunker, watching as Grant racks the bolts on the 10-gauge shotgun.
It's just the two raptors, right? Are you sure the third one's contained?
Yes, unless they figured out how to open doors.
Cut to outside the door to the kitchen. The raptor stares down the door handle, cocking its head curiously. It snarls and bumps the door handle with its head, but that doesn't do anything. It reaches out toward the handle with one clawed hand. Tim and Lex stare in shock as the door handle starts to turn. The door opens. The first raptor stands in the doorway, draws itself up the full height, and looks around the kitchen. Now a second raptor joins the door. They move into the room, brushing against each other. The first raptor snaps as the second, as if to say, keep your distance. Tim and Lex at the end of the aisle, around the corner. Tim's falling behind now, and he accidentally brushes against something in the kitchen utensils. Both of the raptors turn. The raptor on the floor is just about to turn the corner when Tim sits, exposed and exhausted, but both raptors suddenly stop, hearing a clinking sound from the other end of the aisle. It's Lex tapping on a spoon on the floor to distract him. The raptor on the counter jumps down and starts cautiously towards Lex's noise, leaving Tim. Tim sees the raptor make the turn toward Lex, smashing more stuff with their tails. He turns to see the walk-in freezer and far wall with the pin-locking handle. As Lex tries to pull the overhead door to the cabinet, one of the raptors round the corner and sees a reflection on the shiny cabinet front. Lex tries frantically to lower the cabinet door, but it's stuck. Tim takes a few deep breaths, summons what little strength he has, and makes a break for the walk-in freezer, limping and dragging himself, really moving like a wounded prey. Now, and the other raptor spots him, and they pounce, one toward each of the kids. Lex tugs on the cover to the veil. Tim's raptor charges after him, just open the floor space between them. and Lex Raptor thuds in a shiny surface bearing the reflection. It chased the wrong image. Tim drags himself on his feet out of the freezer. The Raptor roars and screams inside. Lex jams and pins through the handle, locking it in. Now the other Raptor staggers on its feet, groggy. It smashes into the stuff all over the kitchen. Lex throws her arms around Tim again for the support, and they take off. Tim and Lex hurry across the restaurant. They stare back over their shoulders and they run. They crash into Grant and Ellie.
It's in there!
Control room.
Second floor corridor. Grant, Ellie, and the kids race down the second floor corridor towards the control room, Grant helping Tim. The door to the control room smacks open. Grant, Ellie, and the kids burst in, and Ellie heads straight for Nedry's computer terminal.
We can call for help.
We've got to reboot the system first.
Oh no, the door locks. Ellie, boot up the door locks. Boot up the door locks.
Wow, something hits the door, hard from the outside. The kids scream. He struggled.
Alan!
Ellie, get back and boot up the door locks.
You can't hold it by yourself!
Ellie, get the gun!
I can't get it unless I move!
This is the Unix system. I know this. It's the files for the whole park. It looks like a phone book. It tells you everything. I've got to find the right file. Oh no, this isn't right. This might be right. No, this isn't it.
Come on, Lex. Come on, Lex. Go, Lexi.
There it is. I got it. This is it. I did it. Yes, yes.
What works?
Phone security systems. Everything works. You asked for it. We got it.
The children are fine.
Oh, thank God.
Listen, the phones are back up. Call the mainland. Tell them to send the damn helicopters.
Suddenly, Grant stops in the middle of a sentence. A scream cuts in. The 3 gunshots fast, and a horrible clunking as the phone is dropped. The front window of the control room has 3 huge impact shatter patterns in the glass where a gunshot hit. Tim goes onto the open panel, through the ceiling, and onto the crawl space. Lex climbs a ladder, followed by Ellie and Grant. Grant looks over the front window, scared as hell, just as the Raptor explodes into the control room. It lands on its feet on a working station console, images from the wall projectors falling across its head. Grant vaults himself up onto the ceiling and knocks the ladder with his feet. The Raptor tilts its head curiously, looking up at the swaying ceiling. Grant, Ellie, and the kids dash across the ceiling panels, moving fast but carefully, so as not to break through. Smash! The Raptor's head bursts through the panel behind them, leaping up at them, snarling and snapping. It drops down again, and they keep moving forward, but they erupt through a panel right in front of them. But the Raptor can't hold itself up, and it falls back onto the floor of the control room. Grant looks around frantically and spots an air duct a few yards away.
Follow me!
They move for it, but the Raptor's head crashes through the ceiling again. This time, right underneath Lex. Lexi is lifted up on the top of her head and pinned to the ceiling above. Grant smashes his boot into the side of the Raptor's head. The Raptor slams at him, latching onto his boot for a second before the Raptor's own weight pulls it back down. Grant and Lexi scramble over to the air duct and join Ellie and Tim inside it. Grant, Ellie, and the kids crawl through the air duct as fast as they can, the thin metal booming and creasing around them. Through the gate, they can see the lobby of the visitors center below. They're directly above the skeleton of the T-Rex. Grant and the others climb down the air duct onto a platform and scaffolding the stands alongside the skeleton. They suddenly see a Raptor standing on the side of the second floor railing. Grant climbs gingerly onto the skeleton. Up in the ceiling, the skeleton's anchor bolts groan in the plaster, startling startling to pull free. The raptor flies out and lands on the back of the middle section skeleton. Snap! It cracks a part of the weight, sending the section spinning in all different directions. The anchor bolts in the ceiling rip free, zinging past them like bullets, sending Ellie to the ground. The raptor tumbles to the floor in the cascade of splintering bone. Ellie stands up. She notices shadows on the second raptor. She stops dead in her tracks. She backs up toward Grant and Tim. The raptor crouches in pre-attack stance. The group is caught in the middle of the two approaching raptors. They look up and see a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Its massive head descends down from above. A set of 6-foot jaws clamp down on the raptor, and a helpless animal howls in agony. As it's lifted up off the floor into the lobby, Grant and the others look up in stunned amazement. They step back from the rock and onto safety and look to the right. They see another raptor approaching. The second raptor turns from the humans and lunges at the Rex's side, leaping 12 feet into the air and rending the Rex's flesh as it comes down. The Rex bellows in pain.
Ow!
It turns on the raptor, eyes raging, and strikes just once. It clutches the raptor by its thick back end, busts onto the enormous feet down under the trees. It rips the last velociraptor in half. The Rex stands majestically in the middle lobby. The Rex draws itself up on its full height and roars.
Yeah!
The sound is deafening, and it vibrates, rattling the entire visitor center. The sign, which dangled over the lobby by its remaining wire, finally falls, clattering to the floor at the Rex's feet, face up. When dinosaurs ruled the earth, it says. Cut to outside. Hammond squeals the Jeep to a halt in front of the steps. Malcolm is lying in the back.
Mr. Hammond, I've decided not to endorse your park.
After careful consideration, Dr. Grant, so have I.
Cut to the helicopters. One by one, they climb aboard, their faces white from the ordeal. Hammond looks down at the park, his eyes full. He looks over at the kids. They're in the back of the helicopter with Grant. As they look out the window, Grant almost absently has his arms around both kids. Now Ellie looks at him. Both he and the kids seem so natural, so obviously comfortable and trusting with each other. She smiles. The four of them sit that way in the back of the helicopter, huddled together, survivors. Grant looks out the window. The helicopter sweeps low over the huge flock of seabirds that are feeding a school of fish. As the chopper roars near, it kicks up the flock. Hundreds of birds sail in all directions, powerful and graceful. Grant looks at the birds and breaks into a wide grin. The birds reform as a flock again and fly straight into the sun. Fade out.
That's our show, folks. I hope you enjoyed this. Didn't realize it was going to be 2 hours and 30 minutes. I cut the script down like 50 pages, so I'm glad I cut it down 50 pages. Have a great rest of your night. Thank you. Donate to our Kickstarter. Have a great rest of your night. Peace and love. Hey.